Hey, I hope you're having an amazing day. Silver Trade here again with another video. Today we're going to be comparing GameStop to Tesla, specifically Tesla in about 2019-2020. You know, right before it started running like crazy. We say this in almost every video, but Ryan Cohen is a genius and much more. Let's start things off on a positive note. One mother's LinkedIn post inspired GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen to give a surprise gift to a new employee. Long story short, this mother on LinkedIn posted about how her son walked 2 miles to work in the pouring rain just for a 2-hour shift. Ryan Cohen said, "I saw the post and liked what his mother had to say, so I contacted them," said Cohen, who called James to thank him for his work ethic and told him he was giving him an e-bike to get to work easier. So now instead of walking 2 miles to work every day, that Irving, Texas GameStop employee now has an e-bike to get him there even quicker. All thanks to Ryan Cohen's generosity. I mean, you really love to see it. And please remember, none of this is financial advice. We are not financial advisors, and this video is made for entertainment purposes only. I don't know when the last time you checked was, but most people who are trying to get into the PowerPacks website beta are now in. This gentleman posted that he's finally in, and your boy Silver is also finally in. But we'll do that in another video. A lot of people thought that GameStop was going to run out of like these really cool chase cards and just give them all away in the early beta for the PowerPacks website. But that was not the case. People are still getting amazing cards from the PowerPacks website. People in the Pokemon community call this the Lovebirds card, and it's what collectors call a chase card because it's one of the cards that everybody wants. This gentleman bought a $1,000 pack and got a $4,000 chase card. And GameStop on Instagram, somebody just pulled a $14,000 Charizard from a $1,000 power pack on GameStop's website, making it the highest pack rip since the beta's inception. So don't worry, there's no slowdown of chase cards coming from GameStop. And GameStop has closed above the daily Bollinger Bands for 6 consecutive days. This has never happened, ever. The last time this occurred was on January of 2021 and May of 2024. However, both of those times we only got 4 closes in a row above the daily Bollinger Bands, not 6 days in a row. And see, a couple of weeks ago, I know you remember this, I said if we can get above that 50-day moving average at the $23 mark, we're going to go to 26 really quickly. And yeah, it took GameStop 1 week. And now GameStop is back within the daily Bollinger Bands, but as long as we hold above $26 per share, we're still looking incredibly bullish. GameStop's utilization is at about 70% right now. And thank you so much if you've made it this far in the video. I really appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind, please hit that like button for me, but we still have a lot of juicy stuff to talk about. Just a quick reminder that net income for Q2 has increased over 1,100% year over year. Q2 of 2024 net income was only about $15 million. Q2 for 2025 is almost $170 million. Ryan Cohen and the board are doing some amazing things. And this doesn't even include the PowerPacks website revenue. And did Ryan Cohen just put himself in the same boat as us? We all know that the warrant dividend is coming. Only registered holders, so like Computershare, DRS, and DSPP, etc., are guaranteed to get them. If your shares are stuck in a broker or street name mess, you might not actually see your warrants thanks to lending and rehypothecation. That's the whole audit. But here's the spicy part. Ryan Cohen himself might not hold all of his warrants either, and that might be his whole plan. Ryan Cohen owns 37 million shares. The SEC filing this year straight up says 22 million of those are pledged in a swap margin account. Shares in a margin account can be lent out or rehypothecated. GameStop's own warrant FAQ warns if shares are loaned out, other mechanics may apply. Translation, good luck, maybe you get cash instead. So if part of Ryan Cohen's position is in margin, there's a chance that he won't get his warrants that he's promised either. So if part of Ryan Cohen's position is in a margin account, there's a pretty good chance that he's not going to receive his warrants for those shares like a lot of GameStop investors. Why this might be intentional? Think about it. If he DRS'd everything, he'd be guaranteed his warrants. Clean, no issues. But by keeping a fat chunk of his shares in a margin account, he puts himself in the same vulnerable spot as a lot of retail. If the system screws us, it screws him as well. That gives him standing to say, I got robbed right along with my shareholders. That's some white hat positioning. And that's also some class action fuel. He doesn't even need every warrant for himself. He's already sitting on a mountain of shares and cash. What he does need is leverage over the system if and when it breaks. If brokers fail to deliver warrants, retail can scream. But if Ryan Cohen also doesn't get his warrants, that's a different level of pressure. He's the biggest shareholder, the CEO, and suddenly a co-victim if that happens. That's not just optics, that's legal ammunition. Either way, he's got optionality. If warrants deliver, he wins. If warrants don't deliver, he's right beside us sharpening the pitchforks. With Ryan Cohen's resources, he could actually lead or bankroll a class action if the system cheats shareholders. And that would hit so much harder than any retail lawsuit on its own. Ryan Cohen has been playing 4D chess for years, and it really shows. Some people want a class action lawsuit to go through, but some people do not. This gentleman posted, "Please stop making posts and comments that suggest a class action or of anything. It will freeze the stock and or tie up trading for the next several years. If we tangle ourselves up in a class action or anything substantial, there's a good chance that GME gets frozen until it's all sorted out." He's worried that GameStop might get frozen, like the stock might get frozen for like 5 or 10 years, until the class action is settled. He says, do not let this stock get frozen because of legal horse crap. It needs to be slugged out in the open, gladiatorial style where the whole world can watch. Otherwise, we are subjecting ourselves to the whimsy of a legal system that is just as crap as our financial system. And now a post from our favorite Region Formal. So what are the implications of the much higher than anticipated net sales plus a lean SG&A expense rate in the US and overall? In combination, this of course impacts the operating income and profit figure, so note the 2% rates above are for the US and globally. Operating income about 9% for the United States, and then globally about 7%. What Region Formal was hoping to convey in the post is how the last straw which GameStop bears have been holding on to, that this company is only profitable with its core business in Q4s and struggles for the rest of the year, is absolutely not the case anymore, as evidenced by Q2 of this year, where net income jumped over 1100%. I mean, I can't get over that. Year over year. Trailing 12 months operating income. This is even more clear from the chart above, which is one of Region Formal's favorite measurements. Given the seasonal nature of the retail business, performance on a rolling 12-month basis is a far better assessment of the overall performance. Granted, it is still in the early days, but if the trend of the last few quarters continues, then within a few years, I project the core business to be producing annual profits of over $1 billion. Leaving aside everything the company has done with capital raising and investments, personally, I think this turnaround is the most impressive achievement of the entire saga. And really, we might get there quicker than Region Formal thinks, because we're still not factoring in the Power Pack's website revenue. And GameStop has also been nothing short of masterful in the creativity and effectiveness of its capital raising and investment methods. Hence why it has been able to generate more quote-unquote free money through basic and speculative investments into T-bills and Bitcoin, perhaps before the higher risk but higher reward M&As of more cash generating opportunities. With their Bitcoin and T-bills, they've generated over $110 million. Trailing 12 months net income. This brave but astute approach is why the company's overall profitability has been on an ever-increasing trend over the last year as well. This may seem fanciful and overly optimistic to some, but just based on the trajectory of recent quarters, GameStop may well be generating $1 billion in pure profits per annum in a little more than a year at this current rate. For context, this would place them well within the top 500 most profitable firms in America. You know what can happen when previously failing companies that have been heavily bet against by Wall Street turn things around? Ones that not only start generating profit through their use of financial engineering methods, but also the core operational business? Check out the inflection point that Tesla had in 2020 and 2021, once they became profitable. Remember also that Tesla was heavily bet against by many hedge funds, but still nowhere near what GameStop has been. It was only then that everlasting profitability not only viable, but inevitable. And plenty of other Wall Street institutions went along and took up positions to match. This little black squiggly line is obviously Tesla's share price, and you can see the huge jump in institutional ownership before it started running like crazy. But right here, this large jump in institutional ownership was when they did the 1-for-3 share split. So this isn't institutions buying in, this is just institutions getting 3 times more shares. The situation is not dissimilar to what has been happening with institutional ownership of GameStop. Except with GameStop, the company is perhaps also adding some not so gentle nudges in the form of convertible notes and shareholder warrants. Institutional ownership has been exploding for GameStop. I mean, look at that. So if such conditions could lead to this kind of squeeze as seen with Tesla in 2020 and 2021, what could happen with an even more written off and heavily shorted stock like GameStop? Andrew left. We've talked about him way too much. To avoid trial, a short seller puts his hopes on the president. And really quickly, push start arcade, buybacks, and taxes. One thing I haven't seen too much discussion on and think is worth pointing out is that it is very likely come tax season, any buybacks in push start arcade will be counted as income to the individual that sold the card back to GameStop in PSA. Which means if you're like me and have bought several $100s of packs, then turn around and sold the pulls back to GameStop and PSA to roll into another pull, you're most likely increasing your taxable income at the end of the year. While this probably won't be incredibly impactful for the majority of individuals, if anyone is flipping platinum or diamond packs, you could be setting yourself up to owe more than you'd anticipate come tax season in 2026. If anyone else has heard anything that would contradict this, please share on this post. But from a top-level perspective, it would seem that most people may not realize these buybacks will be considered income earned for 2025. This is incorrect though. I see this more as how a casino works. You aren't earning $100 every blackjack hand you win. Rather, you are supposed to self-report any profits you walk away with at the end. So if you make like $5,000 off of power packs, you should self-report that you made money. Otherwise, it's like trading a game in for another game, or winning a blackjack hand and then losing the next one. My belief is that none of these are taxable events. Luckily, people did some digging and it's in the facts page. Do I pay tax when I sell a card back to power packs? The answer is no, you do not pay taxes when you sell your card back to power packs. When you sell a card back through instant buyback, you won't be charged sales tax or receive a 1099 form. However, it's up to you to report any income as required by your local tax laws. Thank you so much if you've made it this far in the video. I really appreciate you watching all the way through. I'm going to start making a lot more videos, and if you'd like that, please hit that like button. Okay, and I thought about this right as I was about to upload, and I need to get to bed, so I am not able to dive as deep into this as I want to. So please remember, none of this is financial advice. We are not financial advisors, and this video is made for entertainment purposes only. If you have your GameStop shares DRS'd on like computer share, then you're supposed to get the warrants from your shares. You know, 1 warrant for every 10 of your shares. And I really don't think that's going to work out so well for people holding those shares on margin. So I got to thinking, how long would it take if I wanted to make my margin shares into DRS shares with computer share? Big brokers like Fidelity, Schwab, and Vanguard usually take 2 to 5 business days once requested. Robinhood, Webull, and smaller brokers can take up to 5 or 10 business days, sometimes longer. And interactive brokers and E-Trade normally about 3 to 6 days is how long it takes to DRS shares from a margin account. Either way, thank you so much just for being here. I hope you found value in this. Christ is King, and God bless you.